Hey, what's up guys? Alright, so before we get into the rest of the video, I wanted to show you guys my decks that I use from Even Gaming's. Definitely go check that in the description box below and use pack 20 for 20% off. So, a couple features about this desk and why I love it so much. This is actually the same desk I use for my multiple setup, and you can see right here, I actually did a video where I detailed and talked about like my setup and like how this desk is really nice. One of the features that this desk has is a wireless charging port, so you can actually put your phone there or like put a USB cable and charge your phone, which is super dope. It also is like really like big. Like you see right here, I can fit like my regular size Yu-Gi-Oh playmat and then have like, you know, something on the side, just like, you know, like put my hands on, like so I can like adjust life points and all that good stuff. Sorry about the mess over there, but I gotta go clean that up. And of course, also on the side, it has like RGB lighting. I currently have these like turned off just because like I'm not the biggest fan of RGB lighting, but I think that if you are like a huge fans of RGB lighting, then definitely it's something you can turn on as well. If you guys are interested in grabbing this desk or this chair that I currently use, definitely go check out the description box below and use pack 20 for 20% off. But all right guys, that's pretty much the just a small little advertisement, and then we'll get back to the video.
YouTube. Alright guys, welcome to today's deck profile. I'm going to be covering the Swordsoul Tenyi version of the archetype. I know a lot of people have been looking for the Tenyi version, and I will, concede the fact that I think the Tenyi version has a way better grind game. Having access to Adhara is very powerful. The deck is going to look quite different than what normally people see. I see people putting like Ecclesia in this deck and like, not looking at like how cards synergizes well with each other. So here's the list today, and I'll kind of explain the cards choices and how they work in tandem with each other and how I think you're supposed to play the Tenyi version going forward. So we max out all the names, but it's important to see that if you watch my deck profile with the pure Soul Sword / Destiny Fusion deck, the cool thing about the Tenyi version is you get to play Desires, because you're not playing the Destiny Phoenix Enforcer package, and also you get to play Triple Taie. So the reason why Triple Taie works in the non-Destiny Fusion version or the non-Pure version is because the Soul Sword Soul Master Taie monster, it can banish any war monster from the graveyard, not just the Soul Sword cards, which is really nice. So before, when you play the Pure version of this deck, you'll like find out very quickly that you don't really have a lot of war monsters turn one, so it becomes like pretty much a Garnet like going first. But when you finally have access to like more Tenyi cards, more Worm cards, most notably like you have 2 Adhara, 3 Ashuna, 2 Vishuddha, and then 3 of the Vessel, which is a total of I think 10 Worm monsters that you can get access to quite easily. It makes Taie a lot better. The cool thing about Triple Taie in this version of the deck too is Taie, when it's sent to the graveyard as synchro material, can send any Soul Sword card or any Worm monster from the deck to the graveyard. You'll see that that's very important because it helps sets you up follow-up, and it helps sets you up like ways to reverse crack the opponent's board when your board gets broken. What I mean by that is like you can send a Vishuddha or send like, for example, Ashuna on the following turn, so that for your follow-up play you're allowed to go Ashuna into Vishuddha and then use Vishuddha to like crack your opponent's board, and allow you to just basically ensure that you have follow-up. One of the issues with the pure version of the deck is like unless you open like Fusion Destiny or a way to put a fusion monster in the graveyard and or Ecclesia, the deck lacks a lot of like recovery and recursion, but the Tenyi cards allows you to do that, specifically at Adhara. So let me explain all the Tenyi monsters and like the ratios I decided to play. I'll move this up here, but I decided to play 2 Adhara, 3 Ashuna, 2 Vishuddha, and then 3 of the Vessel. So I played 3 Ashuna because it's an emergency teleport. It can summon any Tenyi monster from the deck, but it does have a restriction which says that you're not allowed to special summon any other monsters for the duration of the turn or the rest of the turn except word monsters. So having Ashuna in your deck is the main reason why we don't play Ecclesia and why we don't play the Fusion Destiny package, because of the restriction. We're being only able to summon word monsters. The restriction may seem like kind of bad, but in hindsight it's actually not that bad. The reason why we also play like 2 3 2 and then the 3 Vessel is mainly also the fact that we're able to make Shi Shao without the normal summon. That was one of the interesting points of this deck too, where like if people held like their Imperms or Valor for like their Elevate Synchro, you're not able to like search like trap cards, you're not able to like search like Lord Yuan in order to like make more plays. but having the more Tenyi monsters allows you to make like any two of these like Tenyi monsters, like Ashuna, Adhara, or like Ashuna, Vishuddha, or like Vessel plus any of these other ones, allows you to make Shishao without the normal summon. And that's very, very important because it allowed you to, like, you know, get access to either a Rhoda, a Pop 2, Moye, Taiye, or Lord Yuan, depending on the situation. And also the other cool thing about the Tenyi, the other pros of the Tenyi version is also that like the Lord Yuan becomes significantly better. Lord Yuan, like pitching off like an extra Moye or an extra Taiye from the hand is generally like a lot worse. Being able to you know, being able to like, you know, use the effect of Lord Yuan and like dump and Shuna from the hand is very, very powerful, allowing you to, like, you know, for example, just make Baroness and then like use and then like try to like keep playing after that. So I thought that was like very, very neat. But yeah, so we have these options. The other thing with Tenyi monsters too, that because I wanted to like kind of like talk about like, I guess, the significance of the Tenyi monsters and how they ultimately function with like the Soul Sword cards. So I might be like blabbering a little bit, but just kind of want to make sure I cover all the bases and the interactions that are very, very important to know. One of the other cool important interactions with Tenyi monsters is that they actually make it so that your Chen Ying will always have a way to trigger itself to banish a card from your opponent's field and graveyard on your own turn, which is something that you normally sometimes like can't do consistently. What I mean by that is like when you search off the Shishao, you actually don't get the effect to banish a sword or a worm monster from your graveyard. So it makes it like significantly a lot worse. So being able to like, consistently like, you know, use this effect is very, very strong, and it's a very, very hard card to out. Like the Trishula-esque effect is like very, very powerful. And then the other card we play is like Vessel. So I really like this card. I thought it was like a really cool way to make it so that your deck was more consistent at doing the 2-card Tenyi combo in order to end on like the Shishao. And so that's why I put Vessel in the deck. The other cool interaction is that when you go like Moye, reveal any worm monster, which includes Tenyi monsters, so your Moye is more often live than not. Because the issue with like the peer version as well is sometimes you don't have an additional word monster, additional like Soul Sword card in your hand. So having access to like these other Tenyi monsters makes it so that Moye is more live than not, which makes it truly a 1-card kind of like play. Because the issue with the Moye is that it's actually not a 1-card starter. You need an extra card in your hand in order to play, and that was one of the biggest like misconceptions about this deck, that it's just a 1-card combo deck. But in totality, the only 1-card combo in this deck in the pure version is the Rhoda, because you Rhoda for the Taiye. But if you were to top deck Moye in the grind game, it's actually not amazing unless you have cards like Adhara adding you back word monsters, which makes your Moye live. I also only play one of the Monster Reborn S card because I find this card like pretty bricky in the earlier stages. I think it's a really amazing card to search as follow-up and like help OTK. But in the earlier stages, like when you're trying to just do your combo and your baseline, it doesn't contribute to you playing the game. So that's why I have this card at 1. That's simply the theory I usually have. If a card is like searchable and it's part of the engine, then I play it at 2. Like for example, like the 2 Tenyi monsters. But if a card is like good enough to be in my deck, then I just max it out, especially if I want to see it. And the other exception is if a card is at 1 in my deck, it's either because it's limited or because I don't want to open it, but I want to search it later. So that's pretty much what examples that we have here. Next we have Call by the Grave. I don't really need to explain it. And then we have Droplets. So I thought Droplets, you notice that this version of the deck don't play any hand traps. And ultimately what I wanted to do with the list is basically realize that a lot of people will play Crossout. A lot of people will play Tactics. A lot of people will play cards that essentially proactively stop hand traps, or like reactively stop hand traps and punish you for, you know, getting hit by hand traps. So in my head, I'm like, I don't think you actually need hand traps to break some of the boards in that people are going to be making. So playing go second cards and cards that are very strong going first and second, I thought were better. Droplet synergizes really well with the Tenyi monsters, so that even though you send Tenyi monsters, you don't really go that minus. So that's like the main reason. And then you see me also play like cards like Tactics, because Tactics going first or second in the mirror is very insane. So I really like, I didn't want to play any hand traps because I don't want to lose to cards that people are playing. And so like I wanted people to like play the crossouts and just look completely ridiculous. Like I guess in the mirror it would definitely like hurt a lot more if they have crossout for the mirror. But in general, like it's just like the idea that like I don't want people's crossout to be live against me. And like I let them set up the board. They have a dead card in their hand. And the Tenyi version also in the mirror match can actually crack the board with just engine cards that pure Soul Sword decks cannot. That's also one of the other things that I thought was really cool. Like these cards, like engine wise, can, like, for example, I'll make an example here where if you special Vishuda, right? If they can't use a trap to pop it. If you make the link 1, you can then use Vishuda to bounce the Synchro 8, and they can't stop that, or you can bounce the trap card and they can't stop that unless they have an Omni Negate. And like if you go like Vishuda effect and they have to go like Baroness to negate Vishuda, that's already like you're already halfway towards cracking the rest of their board. And that's just with Vishuda alone. I'm not even talking about like what if you open like a Shuna Vishuda or like Vessel Vishuda or some version of that, because all these cards allows you to just like eat negates and eat cards from your opponents, especially in the mirror match. So that's why I really like these cards. Goatsark because of its application with Adhara. So if you somehow magically break, which I think this version breaks less, you can Goatsark for like, let's say Taie, special Adhara, link 1 and use Adhara to add the monster that you Goatsarked, which is a really cool interaction. And of course, Goatsark is also a extender in the sense that you can like Goatsark the sudden shift, which triggers it to summon a level 4 tuner token, which protects you or like lets you keep playing through hand traps. I think that the reason why I don't play like crossout in the main deck is because you run so many engine cards that you don't have room for crossout, and that was one of the fallacies of crossout that I think people forgot to realize, that when you play cards like crossout, you have to devote a lot of non-engine space to accommodate that. And when you play a lot of engine, you find out that crossout becomes a lot worse, or not worse, but it just doesn't become a good enough card to put in your deck because you don't have enough room to play the card and play the card like well. So that's why like I don't have cross on my main deck. I'll probably side it, but like I don't really have a side deck built for the new format yet, because I don't know what the format's gonna be like yet. So the side deck comes and goes depending on like the meta and how I evaluate it. But right now, like this is probably the main deck that I would play if I were to play the deck. You have Rhoda, I don't really need to explain it. Desires, don't really need to explain it. That's why you play there's a reason why you play 2-2, 2-3-2, also because of the Desires. That's why I didn't want to play 1-3-1, which I see a lot of people playing. 3 sudden shift because you play the Tenyi monsters, your sudden shift is actually more live than ever. And like you can also just like pop your your Tenyi monsters and like hit like their back row, because sometimes you don't want to sudden shift like your Synchro 8. It's like very awkward to do that, and because you don't have guaranteed follow up, like sudden shifting your Synchro 8 sometimes is like can literally cost you the game. And then the last card I played is Solemn Strike, because I thought it was a card that was like good going first and second. If you go first, there's not a lot of decks that can beat Strike, and then going second, it's always live to like hit something. So I thought like it was just like the only, like there was just like no better card I can think of in the main deck to like play that was good going first and second. So I decided to just play Solemn Strike. And I'm talking about no hand chips or anything like that. It was just like really, really good cards. And like Strike was just like the best card that I can think of. In the mirror match, if you strike the summon of like their Synchro 8, they don't get the effects of Moye to like draw, very similar to how like Prank Kids works. So I thought this card was pretty cool. Let's go into like the extra deck. I think I played Drag Eye. It's pretty standard. Baroness, Double Boxia, Xiao Fang. So there's a really cool combo you can do with Xiao Fang, or like with the Tenyi monsters, where you make Boxia. So like any 2 Tenyi monsters do this, which allows you to against Daitron, you literally turn off all their like they cannot activate a single Daitron monster when you make Xiao Fang. So that's why this card is here. That's also another benefit of the Tenyis. So I can show you guys that combo like right after the deck profile, how any two Tenyi monster ends on the Xiao Fang, does Xiao Fang without the normal summon. Chen Ying, the Chi Xiaos, we play Draco Berserker, which is also a Tenyi monster. You play Crimson Blader, Omega, Yazi, and then for the Link monsters, play 2 monks and then 1 shaman. So now we're gonna get into the some of like cool like combos. We'll do a test hand right now, just kind of show you guys what I was talking about. So, so right here we have so it has to be like 2 Tenyi monsters, and one of them either being a Vessel or like the Shuna. So I don't think this hand does it, but you see right here, like usually, if you have Taie by itself, it's usually very bad. but because you have the Tenyi monsters, you can actually do plays with it. So so for example, like I would probably go Adhara here, summon, use this, make the link 1, Vishuddha special, and then I can go something like this. Make this. Then I can go normal summon. I can banish the monk to make this. Use these two for Synchro 8 plays. And then use this effect to search and discard to Foolish. So like what you can do is you can actually Foolish, for example, like any were monster. So you can like Foolish Moye, and then you can search, let's say Lord Yuan. I think I was supposed to banish this instead, sorry. Because what you can do is like you can go like Adhara effect, banish itself, add this to your hand, and then you can just pitch it off of like the Lord Yuan and then end on a token as well and do some other stuff. The combo that I guess I wanted to show you guys was the 2 combo that ended on Chao Fang. So I guess this is an example of it. But it's basically Ashuna plus any Tenyi monster, and this counts as it. So you go like special Ashuna, link it off, make the link 1, activate Vessel, which sends like I guess Adhara, and then probably just adds you another Ashuna for follow-up. You can go, actually let's add, let me think, let's add Vishuddha, it's probably better. And then you can go like special Vishuddha, banish the Adhara, banish the Ashuna, summon another Adhara. Use both of these into Boxia. Use Boxia to pop the monk to bring back the Adhara, and then you make Chao Feng this way. And because the Yang Xing monster you use, whatever attribute that is, they can activate the effects. So like with the same attribute as a Yang Xing monster. So because we use Boxia's material, which is a light monster, your opponent cannot activate light monsters, which also plays around Nibru, which is insane. And of course, like being able to add a tuner when this card is destroyed by battle or card effect is insane. And the other cool part is like when a monster your opponent control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can summon any war monster from your deck in defense whose original attribute matches that. So if you destroy a water monster, if you just like here, so if you destroy a dark monster, a wind monster, a water monster, a light monster, you can summon any of them from the deck as well off of this, which is pretty cool. And then of course you can use this, add this card back to your hand, and then you have another Adhara for more follow-up, which is really, really nice. You would have to use Adhara first before you, like you would have to use Adhara when you control the monk, because you can't do it now. But yeah, that's just something to consider. So a quick little combo for you guys. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile and then I guess the explanation of the way I constructed the deck. And I'll talk to you guys later. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts on the Tenyi version. If you like it, if you don't, do you prefer like the Fusion Destiny version? And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.